Hey everyone, it's Brad and Josh here, and we welcome you to We'll Bring the Popcorn, the ultimate film and TV podcast. One Battle After Another is the latest from Paul Thomas Anderson. It picks up telling us a story about the French 75, a revolution group who are trying to make changes by any means necessary. So, we kick off with Leonardo DiCaprio's Bob. He's kind of the bomb guy. He's the explosion guy, and it jumps right into it that we're going into. It looks like they're trying to break out some immigrants who are in a camp, and this is a very heavy political film. It's got a lot of social commentary. We got a lot of stuff to it, and it's almost 3 hours long too. So it packs a lot in that 3 hour running time. But yeah, it deals with what is unfortunately very topical stuff here, like a lot of stuff that we've seen in the last few years today. So it gets pretty heavy with the storytelling and what it's going about. But yeah, we see Bob, we see his love interest, Perfidia, Beverly Hills. So some really interesting names in there. There's a few really out there names and stuff as well. But we start off kind of with their love story and what they're going through. And then, we jump 16 years after a big event happens, and we get to see exactly kind of what's the fallout after the French 75 and what's really going on with these people in the revolution. And I got to say, it was an enjoyable movie, but a very heavy, heavy movie, especially when you're looking at everything that's happening, going on in the world, that it makes you think and it hits you hard with a lot of stuff. But I'm going to, before I throw it over to you, I've got to say Sean Penn absolutely stole this movie. Like every scene he was in, he was just absolutely electric. This is another potentially third Oscar-winning performance for Sean Penn. Like he was incredible as Colonel Lockjaw.
That's heavy praise. But yeah, like it's a Paul Thomas Anderson film. You know what you're getting out of these. I love his films. He's not afraid to like go there and, talk about topical things going on in the world. And, that's kind of a staple of his films. And man, like he really went after it in this one too. Like you said, you've got this radical group, the French 75, who were, like you said, by any means necessary, wanting to achieve their objectives. And they go to some pretty harsh, like, lengths to kind of get some stuff done where they're, attacking, those immigration camps, and they're robbing banks and doing kind of some other stuff too. Like the time jump here is important because you have an event where Perfidia is on the run here at this point, and she gets captured. We're going into some heavy spoilers here. We kind of have to talk a bit about the plot of the film here to kind of really explain some of the things that are happening. But she gets captured and kind of eventually turns rat on her own organization under, Lockjaw captures her and threatens to like, hey, we're going to ruin your life if you don't like rat out your people. We'll put you up in like witness protection and other things to kind of, help you if you help us. And she kind of breaks out and runs off, and it just kind of kicks off the time jump there where, she and Bob have had a young daughter. So now Bob is in the care of the young daughter while she's on the run. And it's kind of interesting where they're at when they make this time jump. Cause you have, Bob is kind of this paranoid, stoner conspiracy theorist kind of thing where he's like still so dedicated to the cause that he goes so far off grid he kind of loses touch with it, kind of loses his edge a little bit because he spends so much time isolated and out there. And a lot of it is heavily focused on their daughter who they name Willa, who she has to take on that name because they go off grid and they're on the run most of their life too. And it's a really fun story once you get into the meat and you get to the time jump, especially when you see, Lockjaw is on this mission to find Bob and Willa by any means necessary. And eventually through the story, the way it's told, you find out why he's so gung-ho on going after them. And I got to agree, man. Sean Penn is fantastic on this. He has a very distinct walk when he walks.
He's walking with a stick up his butt.
Almost literally is what it feels like, just based on how he walks. And I know you and I were kind of having some fun with that in the theater, just like, with the way he kind of carries himself. It's a very distinct. It's funny, but you have that balance that Paul Thomas Anderson strikes so great in most of his films where it can be action heavy. It's got dark tones, but it's also got some comedic elements into it too. Like there's some legitimately funny things that happen in this film, and it's kind of done with some dark intentions, and it's just a really good time when you see a film like this. I got some enjoyment out of it too.
Yeah, it's going back to like Sean Penn. Like he can be, he's kind of our typical military guy, and with commentary on the military that, they're basically saying and doing whatever they want to hide up. So he's staging raids on, I forget the name of the chicken place, but it was Finger Licking Chicken or something like that.
Something silly.
And just saying there's heroin there and just instantly going in and doing a raid when there's no factual information. So, there's plenty of political commentary on that he's doing whatever he wants so he can go after Bob and Willa. But yeah, his performance was so crazy and layered because it was weird, it was quirky, it was dark. You had no idea what was going to happen when he was on screen because he could take it in any direction any time that he showed up. But it was just such a burn performance. And Leonardo DiCaprio is great as Bob. I think Sean Penn does outshine him a bit. Even like Benicio del Toro, he's a lot of fun in this when you get to see him.
So much.
He gets a lot of comedic elements with him. Like you get where he's always drinking a beer and handing Bob beer no matter what. Even if he's coming to rescue him, the first thing he does is hand him a 6-pack of beer. And you have him dancing when the police get him. And you have like Bob. There's one sequence where Bob is trying to remember the password because they're an underground revolution. So they have to make sure only the people who are communicating and talking with them are their people, and Bob cannot remember what the time is. We see this in the trailer and everything else. And when Benicio and Leo get together and he's on the phone trying to figure this out, I don't know why it made me laugh so much, is that Benicio's like in the bathroom washing his hands. It's like, I don't know what time it is. And Benicio's like, it's 8:15.
It's so funny.
But it's like, it's not a literal time thing that he's looking for, but Benicio's like, oh, it's 8:15. And just goes back about his business.
It's so funny. But he's also like this, he's also like set up this sanctuary city for like his people, and he's got them constantly on the move if, stuff goes sideways. And it's a fun commentary on that too. But yeah, I absolutely loved Benicio del Toro in this as Sensei Sergio. It was so funny. He gets a lot of the comedic relief while also playing this cool, collected, constantly keeping things moving, and has a good system in place for that. And he plays a pretty big role in helping Bob as well. But yeah, that whole scene with Bob trying to remember the thing and being on the phone with the revolutionary guy who isn't a day one, and he finally gets to talk to a supervisor who's like one of his direct friends, and the whole admonishing the guy for not helping Leo at that point is so funny. But it kind of harkens me back to like calling to like any company and having to do like the voice menus and all that stuff where you have to talk and you can't, you think you're saying the right things and you're not saying the right things. It was kind of a play on that in my mind. It was very funny and very well done. But man, this movie didn't take any, like, it didn't hold anything back from like taking shots at a lot of different things, a lot of different types of people. And I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Christmas organization that
Hail Saint Nick.
Hail Saint Nick. So it's this it's very much a play on like the KKK and like, the very like heavily racist and racial, profiling type of groups or whatever that think like they're the superior race and all that. It's very much a play on that subject, but told as like their Christmas group, and their whole thing is like Hail
Merry
Saint
Christmas,
Nick.
Hail Saint Nick. Merry Christmas, Hail Saint Nick.
It's so absurd and funny, but it's one thing that definitely like cuts through in some of the film. But their mission is still very dark and very racially motivated, and that's like the group that Colonel Lockjaw is trying to enjoy. That's to join. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of a through line throughout the film is like he's taking these steps to make sure he gets in, and there's some very dark consequences for people as a result of him trying to do this. So it's definitely a very strong social commentary in that regard too. Like it's very over the top and very, very heavy at times too.
Yeah, it definitely has some commentary on the KKK, but also just like the secret societies, and especially with conspiracies with the Illuminati and stuff else, is kind of wrapping all those up into this Christmas adventurers group that's just Yeah, wild and crazy, but it's one story that it felt 3 hours, but it didn't feel 3 hours, but it felt 3 hours because it starts you right off the bat, right into it, and it doesn't really let up that much. Like it just hits you with one thing after another, and just keeps going. And hey,
he did the thing.
The one thing I would say I wanted more because I really enjoyed what she was doing, and I was hoping to see a little bit more of Chase Infinity as Willa. I was hoping that they would give her a little bit more than she got. She gets some stuff in there, and it's really important to it, and you get to see her going through some shock and other things that because she's unaware of what was going on with her mom and dad. Like, she didn't know that they were revolutionists and that they were involved in all this dark stuff. She's just a teenager that wants to hang out with her friends and go to a dance and do all this stuff. And she's really good in the bits she did have that I was hoping to see a little bit more out of her just because she was that good.
I did too. She's fantastic when she's in there, but you could tell she's kind of raised by the paranoid dad, and she's been conditioned to things. And you see one of the best scenes, in my opinion, is very early on when you see her and she's at the dance, and one of the French 75 people show up to extract her, and you see the light switch go off as like, oh, these are the things that I thought my dad was just being paranoid, but oh, this is legit. Like, he kind of beats it into her head as she's growing up. Like, hey, if somebody approaches you and says X, Y, or Z, or this thing that you're carrying goes off and they say the right things, you need to trust them absolutely with your life. And then you see that happen in real time where she was just like, oh, that's just dad being silly. And then, oh, somebody actually showed up and said these things to me. I have to kind of like take it seriously. And she just kind of jumps in and it kind of takes off from there. And it was a really well done scene, in my opinion, just to have her come to that realization. Like, her world has basically been flipped upside down because all the things that she thought her dad was paranoid about are actually coming to fruition.
Yeah, so the conspiracies are true.
It was a really cool, really well done scene, in my opinion, and she played that so well. And I have to give her a lot of credit for that. Like, that was a fantastic scene in that film.
Yeah, and even though her role was a little bit smaller, the French 75 person that shows up is Regina Hall's Deandra, and even though her role is more minor in this film, she does a really good job of hitting a little heart and emotion because, Tiana Taylor's Perfidia, we get her heavy in the beginning, but she does kind of go away for most of the film here. So while she was really good in the beginning, it does kind of fall on Deandra to be a little bit of the motherly type of figure to her, even though it's still a more minor role in it. She was really good, and we get some absurdity stuff with that because she's trying to take her to a place which is these nuns, but it's not your typical nunnery that they're growing pot and they're training with machine guns and everything else. Like, it's a really wild and out there film. Like, it touches on so many different things that are very realistic and true to the times we're living in, but also absurdly over the top and crazy, but also touching on the conspiracies and what's real and what's not and secret society. So there is a whole lot wrapped up in this 2 hour and 45 minute or so film. Like, there's a lot that he has to say that he says in this film. But I mentioned somewhat earlier, like, Leo does almost feel not as much as the lead in this. I mean, he's got plenty to do in there, but I do feel like Willa and Lockjaw and their story and all that kind of overshadows him a little bit. Like, there's plenty for Leo to do, but like the standout performance was Lockjaw and almost like Willa and the rest behind that. But Leo's great. It just kind of felt like it went a lot more with like Lockjaw feeling almost like the main character of this film.
Well, yeah, if you're talking about a lot of the things and pointing heavy towards a lot of what a lot of people feel are very negative type characters, like you want to kind of focus on that character. And Lockjaw does have a big role in this film, but it's I would still consider Leo the lead in this. As the dad trying to save his daughter from this guy that they were terrified of coming back after them, who's finally shown back up to come after them, and like gets Willow and kind of has his own agenda for her, and he's trying to save her before something nefarious happens. Because there's a different plot in the film that I don't want to talk about here because it kind of spoils some of the events and some of the motivations for like Lockjaw in this movie that will make sense when you see it, but it's very much Bob on a desperate chase to not only not get caught but also to save his daughter. So it's kind of this rescue mission that he goes on for this thing, and it just goes to some absurd lengths. One of my favorite scenes in this entire movie, and I hope you know where I'm going with this, is when he's trying to escape the building from Sergio, and he hands him off to his buddies, who are significantly younger because they're significantly younger. Bob's like this older guy now, and he's trying to go run across these rooftops with these kids who are just running and jumping and parkouring, and Bob's like out of shape, out of practice, jumping back into where he's not, the man he was 16 years prior, where he could do all. I feel
like he was running with the Ninja Turtles on the rooftops.
Yeah, it was very cartoonish and over the top with that. I was just cracking up because I was like, this would also be me trying to run behind some of these young pups who were just parkouring over every little
and how that sequence
every
ended.
little jump, and then how that sequence ended was so funny. It's so hysterical. Like it was really well done, and I love that scene. It's one of the main scenes that really stood out for me, and just had me laughing about it after I watched it,
and had me giggling too. The phone call afterwards when they're calling Sensei and telling about stuff. It's like, yeah, this happened. Like so, just casual, nonchalant that this happened. Like, okay,
yep, we'll deal with it.
Just made me here.
He's so cool, calm, and collected. That's what I love about.
Nothing bothers him in this film.
Sergio, he's perfectly zen, like a good sensei should be, and it's so funny and so well done. Like I have a feeling like you may love Lockjaw. I love Benicio del Toro.
Benicio was great.
He's so good in what limited time he is on screen. He's just nothing phases the guy. He's just smooth and cool and just operates as he operates in a very real and very stressful situation. Not fazed by it at all. He's just like, it's gonna be all right, man. I got this. And you just have that cool confidence that he keeps through this whole thing with some comedic elements there on top of it. I absolutely loved it. He's phenomenal too. I could see him getting nominated for some stuff as like a potential supporting actor in a film in this, and he's just amazing in this too. I loved his role.
I don't know why this gag humored me as much as it did as well, but there is a sequence with Sensei and Bob that. Bob has come to him for help, and he's trying to contact the French 75 again so he could get the point where Will is going to be. So he's trying to find the rendezvous point and stuff too. And he has, he's told right away, do not use modern cell phones. You need to use older analog cell phone or phones and stuff. And so he's just trying to find a place to charge his phone. And it just one thing after another that he tries to sit down and charge it. What are you doing? We got to go. And they go to the next place and he tries to charge it. What are you doing? We got to go. And so just funny. Over and over and over again that he's just trying to plug in to the wall to charge this phone. And it's just, they just kept doing it. And I'm just like, I'm chuckling at it. And I'm like,
it's so funny.
It's a ridiculous little bit, but it just humored me because of Leo. Like I didn't want to downplay Leo's performance or role in this. Like I felt he was really good, but it did feel like he was almost supporting Benicio and supporting Lockjaw and supporting Willow. Like he was being more of a supporting guy, a glue that's been helping the revolution, that's helping Willow, and that's trying to do all this stuff and everything. But that sequence just made me chuckle because it's just so absurd and ridiculous.
It hits me right in the humor pocket I like to find myself sometimes. It's just context humor, like humor just based on the context. It's so smartly written because he's so paranoid about getting his phone charged to get some kind of signal so he can make this call, and he's just running and moving and moving and moving and moving and moving, and then they finally get to somewhere where they could stop for a minute, and just so smooth. Sensei's like, here behind the couch, and he got it, and he's like, I got power, I got a bar, and you just hear Sensei in the back. That's great, Bob. Just like he's just still like trying to keep everything moving, and he's dealing with this overly paranoid Bob who's just desperate to get a signal to contact somebody, and he's so, you could tell he's so used to dealing with people that panic that it doesn't faze him. And it doesn't stress him out, and it's so funny. But that's just what makes that character so good. Like I said, it's that calm confidence this entire time where everyone around him is panicking, and he's just level the entire time. It's so good. So well done.
Yeah, just absolutely nothing phases him through it all, no matter what he's going through. Like I said, there's a sequence where, he's been pulled over, and you get him, and then we've seen a little of the stills and everything else of it, but he just does this little dance type of thing that he does, and he's just even unbothered at that point, that he knows he's been helping immigrants be able to stay safe and get out, and that he's been helping Bob, and he's doing all this other stuff, but he's still just so unbothered, even when like the police come for him.
Yeah, it's so good. He's fantastic in this.
The only time you actually see him bothered is when Bob wouldn't jump out of the car. And again, that's a sequence we saw in the trailer and stuff. Yeah. He's just, that's only one time that you saw him get a little annoyed. It's like, Bob, four, go, jump, go.
Just jerks the wheel really quick and throws him off the car.
Hey, what'd you throw out of the car? Trash. You sure about that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He's so good. He's so freaking good. But yeah, like you just go and like we talk about some of the comedic elements, and it's important because you're dealing with such heavy subjects like this, and you know, people's lives are being affected, and you know, you've got this heavy subject of Lockjaw trying to get Willa by any means, and he's just willing to cut down anyone that gets in his way of doing this because he's acting out of desperation, because he's trying to join this group and he's trying to tie up some loose ends. And you just it's very dark, and you get Sean Penn, who, like, on the other side, as much as I love the comedic kind of nonchalantness of Sergei, he's this desperate, dark, like, willing to achieve his objective by any means necessary character that he does such a phenomenal job at. And that's where you get this kind of duality that I really like in Paul Thomas Anderson films, where you can do really good at both. Like, if this were, and I think the marriage of the two is what makes it his movies so powerful and impactful, is you can have that balance where it can be silly and absurd at times, and you go straight to the other side where it's just absolutely dark and brutal and gruesome, and you can find a way to marry the two in a way that works. And in a lot of cases, not a lot of people can do that, where you can have that balance in a film that works so well. And I think he found a really good pocket to keep this movie in, between the dark and the light, and the, you know, the heavy and the humorous, just to kind of balance each other out. And I think he does such a good job of walking that line in this film.
Yeah, because you've got a scene between Lockjaw and Willa that happens towards the end of the film that is equally humorous, but also very heavy, because it's dealing with subject matter, and you've got more being revealed to Willa, and you have him dealing with multiple things, because he's got a line that he throws back at her that's just really funny, but then you get just the tics and the real, just gritty darkness of him, that when he comes to a realization of something, you see that kind of just switch flipping him again, like, all right, I got to do what I have to do here and take care of some things. And you get a really dark sequence towards the end there, because he's trying to figure out what to do with his situation, even though he's already had plenty of people killed, plenty of people arrested, set so many things in action on his own. He's got to this point where he's been able to do just about anything, but he's not able to do the one thing that he knows that needs to be done here at the end. And that's why, like, I so love that character, even though it's a very dark and character you hate, is that he's kind of got the most levels to everything, because you have everything with the secret society, but you also have his personal likes and beliefs on things, and you get the humor, but you get the dark and gritty, and you get the full spectrum of commentary on the government and the military all through him, because he's kind of encapsulating everything that is like wrong or bad or anything that could be going on, because he's acting alone and doing whatever he wants, and he's killing people, like, because you get some of the French 75, which is a little spoiler, get killed by him without a second thought. Like, they either were giving up or not even knew something was around, and they just get offed. But other times he arrests other people, and you get interrogations and you get other things like that. Like, you get through Lockjaw just the full spectrum of just everything that's wrong about everything. Like, he is a very central point of everything that is bad and wrong in this film.
He's a really well fleshed out character. Like, you get to see all of the layers of this guy who, you know, like you said, you kind of summed it up perfectly. He has his own personal feelings about, you know, certain types of people and certain types of things, but he still so wants to join this society of people that, you know, believe they are a superior race, but there's some hurdles to get into it that he has to get over, and his just desperation to fit in there. And it's a wild ride that it takes you on, man, because, like, it ends in a way that is kind of predictable, but the way they get there is just an insane journey that you go on through this, where it gets very intense and very heavy, and you deal with some very, I would call it triggering subject matter when it comes to like the way people go about achieving their objectives in this film, because it's some dark stuff, man. Like they do
it gets really dark.
They do some very, very dark things in this that, you know, in some ways I feel like everybody has become kind of desensitized to, but it's still done in a very impactful way in this film that you're just like, man, you just want Willow to be okay. You want Bob to make it through. You want them to get reunited at some point. And like you said, you get a little bit of that predictable end point at the end of the film, but some of the ways they got there, man, was just wild and crazy. It was just It was just a ton of fun. I had a lot of enjoyment. Like you said, this was like a 2 hour and 40-minute movie that didn't really feel like a 2 hour and 40-minute movie at sometimes, but at sometimes you're just like, man, this is a long movie. Like, what are we like? Can we get there? Because I think it's pointed to get to a couple of the minor criticisms that I have of it, and some of it is pacing. That I feel like at some points it took a little too long and stayed a little longer in some of the scenes than it maybe needed to. That I think you could have found a sweet spot if you had cut maybe 10 minutes off of this movie. I think it would have helped it a lot. But still, it's a minor nitpick for me because the film is so well done that I think it could have trimmed a little bit more fat off of it, and it would have been potentially a perfect movie. But the fact that it lingers a little bit in some areas causes it to lose a little bit for me, but not enough to where it completely cut my enjoyment by any means, because I really enjoyed this film. But I really think it could have cleaned a little bit up.
Yeah, just the same as you, had a few small nitpicky things with that could have been slightly shorter, just cleaned up and tightened up a few sequences that maybe they're just talking a little bit too long that didn't really have that big a significance. And I know online it's a sequence that a lot of people love with the road, and the road almost becoming a character in that. But there's some parts of that you could have trimmed down a little bit too, to kind of tighten it up with those sequences. But yeah, it's hard to say. Like it was a lot of fun for a very dark movie that's very society,
Sure,
government, political, dark, heavy as well. But that's the kind of the perfect thing that Paul Thomas Anderson's able to do, is that balance between the humor and the darkness and the death and grittiness, and still leaving some shed of hope within all of everything going wrong and stuff. And it's really well balanced for the most part. But yeah, the most things that I have are just really just kind of nitpicky, small things that didn't take away from my enjoyment of the film at all. Like that, it's a very smartly done film that's going to make you think a lot. Like it's, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, there's a lot of stuff that you can be looking at from every different angle with this, and some people may take it a little bit differently than others do, depending on your viewpoints, because it is a heavily political society commentary type of film.
Yeah, and it's going to garner some very strong opinions, and it kind of already has. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those films that it's not afraid to go there. It's not afraid to speak its mind. It's not afraid to, take risks and do some crazy things. Is it a perfect movie? No, but it is very well done, very well written, very well acted and performed. Like they definitely got across the message that they wanted to, I think, in this one. And it's just so stylized and so well shot and so well done that it's definitely going to be in consideration when it comes time for award season. Absolutely guarantee that, especially with some of these performances. Like I said, I hope Benicio del Toro gets some love, because he was my favorite character in this film. Just he gets so much in the limited amount that you see him on this film that just left a lasting impact with me. But yeah, Sean Penn is definitely going to be nominated for some performances here, because he just plays that dark, over-the-top, insane type character here that has so many layers and is so well written in this movie for the type of character that he is. And he just absorbs himself in this role in a way that, it's very striking in this film that he should get some love for this, because he loses himself in this role, and it's just so well done.
So One Battle After Another is another fantastic film from Paul Thomas Anderson. It's a very heavy film, but there's plenty of humor and things to enjoy from that side. But it deals with so many different sides of secret societies and politics and society itself, and just so many different layers. Some great performances. Sean Penn definitely sticks out as probably one of the front runners for award season from this film, along with Benicio del Toro, Leonardo DiCaprio. I think a lot of the actors and actresses in this film are going to get nominations. It was a dark, gritty film that was also humorous, entertaining. I'm going to give it a 9. I think it was a very solid film. It's one of the best films of the year, but it's not going to be for everybody, because it can be very polarizing depending on your viewpoints and how you look at the world and how you think about things. And I think that's part of the point of it, is to try to get you to think.
Yeah, I agree. I was landing around a 9 as well. I wanted to give it a 9.5, but with some of the pacing issues and some of the things, like I said, that kind of stuck around a little bit to keep it from getting that upper echelon of films. I think it could have trimmed the fat just a little bit, but fantastic performances all around, like you said. Sean Penn, phenomenal as Colonel Lockjaw. Benicio del Toro was my personal favorite as Sensei Sergio. Just a complete gem of a film that I'm definitely planning on going back and revisiting multiple times. It is one that is not afraid to speak its mind. It's not afraid to have opinions on certain things. It's not afraid to present people in a light. It's going to be a very polarizing, opinionated film for a lot of people, but I think in what it's trying to do with its ability to capture the humor along with a very dark subject matter, it does such a perfect job of landing the balance in that, and it's just a staple of a Paul Thomas Anderson film. If you're a fan of his previous films, you're going to love this one too. It is right up there with some of the other films that he's done that have been just so amazing over the years. He's a director who, every time I hear he's attached to direct a project, I'm going to go see his film as soon as I can. He's one of my personal favorite directors. I love the style of films that he makes. I love that he's not afraid to speak his mind on any potential subject matter that he wants to cover in his films, and I just love it. I love the art form. I love the way this film is shot. The cinematography, and it's amazing. The sound is amazing as well. It does not let up from start to finish. It is one that is very worth your time to go and watch.
Yeah, and even we didn't even talk about sound and music, but it gets like, even the music gets so very frantic at times, where it's like almost to the edge of like annoying you, because it gets some, like, there's some
very much so, yeah,
sequences that are really like pinging hard, and it's getting kind of just real frantic all over the place music, but it's matching what's going on, but it's like it's kind of setting you into that mood, like, okay, what is going on, like, what is this music, what am I watching? Like, yeah, he does his art just so amazingly. Like, there's really hasn't been something that he hasn't put out that hasn't been in just such an incredibly solid film that everyone should go see, not only because unfortunately it does have a lot of things to say about the world in the last several years and everything else, but it's just a really smartly well done film that should be seen by everybody.
So good. We cannot recommend it enough. Go check out this film. One Battle After Another is in theaters now. Come to our Discord. Talk to us about this movie. Leave a comment on the YouTube video if you're watching us there. Come talk to us. Let us know what you think about this one. This is one I'm excited to talk to people about, because I know it's going to have some very divisive opinions depending on what part of the political aisle you want to lean on. It's not afraid to speak its opinion there, and you can have types of feelings about that if you want to, but it's one that's definitely not afraid to speak its mind, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of that, and it's fun to have those conversations. It makes you think. Like, it does a good job of kind of like, hey, presenting these things. It is a sensationalized movie. Nobody is saying that there's people that exist that are exactly like this, but it definitely doesn't shy away from the fact that people like that do exist in the world, and it's a very well done artistic presentation of someone's opinion of this, and it's just very well done. It's a good movie. It's worth your time.
Yeah, and as we've said, if you want more of these type of films to be made, if you're complaining about it's all being comic books or other stuff like that, if you want these more unique original films to get made and picked up, especially something like this, like, bravo to the studios for not shying away from putting out a film like this. You got to go out and see it. You got to support it.
It's definitely worth it. To find all of the episodes of We'll Bring the Popcorn, go to our YouTube page, hit the like and subscription button so you're getting our episodes when they drop each and every Monday. If you're listening to us in the audio room on any of the podcasting platforms that we're on, please don't forget to give us a 5-star review. It really helps elevate the profile of the show. And don't forget to go to willbringthepopcorn.com, where it has all of our archive videos, all of our social media information, as well as our merch store, so you continue to support the show in that way. We cannot thank you enough for your continued support.